Moving back to Texas all on my own changed my life in probably the best way possible. Now, for you guys to see why, we're gonna have to rewind my life just a little bit. So I grew up in West Texas, in this little unique town called El Paso. Well, I guess it's not really that small, it's actually kind of big. But needless to say, I grew up in El Paso, which means I spent my entire life there. The first 18 years of my life were spent in the city. For 18 whole years, I had the same friends, the same family, the same hobbies, the same things around me all the time. Nothing changed, and you know, it was fine. But eventually it came time for me to go to college, and I had no idea where I wanted to go because I didn't know anywhere else. Part of me wanted to move across the country because that's what everyone on TV does, you know, just dip out from your hometown and never look back. But then the other part of me thought, this is where I feel comfort. Like, I'm compelled to stay here because I don't really know anything else. Now, I got super lucky because my situation was very unique because my dad retired my senior year of high school and decided to move my entire family to Phoenix, Arizona after I graduated. And for me, this was perfect because now I get to leave my hometown and go explore the big world out there, but I also get to be close to my family. And the reason why I got to stay so close to my family is because I decided to go to school 15 minutes north of them at Arizona State University. Now, I wasn't necessarily sheltered growing up, but I definitely depended on a lot of people my entire life. It seemed like I lacked basic decision-making skills for myself because I always turned to the leaders of my group or the people I saw on TV to tell me what was cool and to tell me what I should be doing with my life. Now, when I got to college, I tried to find some individuality and I branched out and joined a fraternity. And ironically, it turns out by doing this, I lost every ounce of individuality I had. Now, the problem is when I got to college, not much changed because I still lacked the confidence in myself to make my own decisions. So what I ended up doing was taking little personality traits from everybody around me and combining it into one big mess. And trust me, it didn't work out very well because literally a year later, I found myself with a drug problem, an alcohol addiction, and I got a letter from ASU saying I had failed out of school. After all this happened, I decided to move back. Well, I didn't decide. I was forced to move back in with my parents while I cleaned myself up. It kind of sucked because it felt like any traction I gained on being my own person, I just completely lost, and I proved to myself that I can't do anything on my own. I guess on the other hand, it did help me out because I did get clean, I finished school, but no matter what I did, I still didn't trust myself to make decisions anymore. The independence I was so desperate to find in college just seemed like something I had to accept was not going to be a part of my life. My life slowly turned into the sad rut of doing things I learned from other people. I took a little bit of everything from people that I thought were successful in life, and I created this routine that I followed religiously to make sure that I couldn't fall victim to my inability to make good decisions ever again. I woke up bright and early at like 6 a.m. every single day, and then after that, I'd go to class. Immediately after class, I went to my retail job and did that up until like 8 p.m. at night, and then every single night I went to the gym before I finally headed home and went to bed. And I did the same exact routine every single day for 365 days of that year. And I followed this miserable routine for the rest of my college career because I convinced myself that if I gave myself no time to make mistakes, I wouldn't mess up again. I mean, I developed this routine strictly from people I thought were successful online. I mean, they told me to wake up early and go to school and go to class and grind and never have time off, so I should be successful in no time, right? I mean, well, not really, because I was miserable. Eventually, the second half of my senior year rolled around, and I was completely focused on finding a post-grad job in the Phoenix area. Figured I should play it safe and keep the same habits and routines I had at the end of college, that way I can continue to be successful throughout the rest of my life. But in order to do that, I had to stay exactly where I was in Phoenix, Arizona. It got to the point where I was applying for jobs left and right, speaking with recruiters every day, but no matter what I did, something just didn't feel right. I mean, at this point in my life, I was already on autopilot, but the more I was doing this whole job hunting process in Phoenix, the more I started to realize how little effort I was putting into finding true happiness. And then completely out of nowhere, this recruiter just reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I have a job opportunity for you here in Dallas, Texas. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I never once in my life thought, oh, I want to live in Dallas, Texas. I mean, it seemed like a cool city when I went to visit as a kid, but I remembered everyone hating the Cowboys and I didn't want to be a part of that. So it wasn't really at the top of my list. So to no surprise, I messaged the recruiter back and said thanks, but no thanks. Now, what could have been a huge mistake on my end ended up being saved by this pushy little recruiter who would not leave me alone. Every day I woke up with a new message in my inbox about this amazing opportunity in Dallas, Texas. Now, after about a month or two of talking with this recruiter, doing some interviews and finding out if this was going to be a good fit for me, I decided to take the biggest leap of my life and take the job. I was so sick and tired of my boring, miserable life that I was so ready to dive headfirst into this whole world of independence. It just felt like it was the right time to finally make a change in my life, to finally learn how to be an adult and trust myself. So I packed my bags and I moved to a city where I knew absolutely nobody. And it was the greatest decision I ever made. Coming back to Texas on my own felt crazy. I mean, it feels like the most insane thing I could have done at the time was just to drop everything and move somewhere new, like Texas. But I knew deep down in my gut, it just felt like the right thing to do. And for once in my life, I decided to stop asking questions and just go with the flow. The truth is, I was starting to get lonely in Arizona anyway. I mean, most of my friends graduated a year or two before me, so by the time I came to my senior year, I was by myself. I didn't really have a lot of people around me. On top of that, I was so busy with work and school that I had no free time to do anything. I couldn't even make friends if I wanted to. At the time, I was just young and naive. I mean, I felt scared that if if I left my little bubble in Phoenix that everything in my life was gonna come crashing down. But by finally making the decision to move somewhere by myself, to move across the country, to do something crazy, to do something I never would have expected myself to do, I finally broke free from that bubble that was holding me hostage. I thought if Dallas was gonna be successful for me, I thought it would take a lot longer, but honestly, the first few months I was there, my entire life changed for the better. I started dating again, I was making friends left and right, I was paying my own bills, I was making enough money to do things for fun. Now, in all honesty, not every single thing panned out for me when I got to Dallas. I mean, that job that brought me there, it sucked. I hated it. I'm probably on like my second or third job at this point. The relationship I first got in there, same goes for that, didn't last very long. Hell, I even moved to Austin 2 years later. I mean, that's where we're at now. And who knows if we're even gonna stay here. I mean, we can pretty much do whatever we want at this point. And while some things didn't work out and things changed, that move was still the greatest thing that ever happened to me. That initial decision I made may not have been perfect at the time, but it enabled me to be more open-minded and to look for things that are gonna make me happy in life. Now, I'm not making this video to tell you that you need to drop everything and just move across the country or across the globe. I mean, that may not solve all your problems. It may, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you whether it will or not. I just wanted to share my experience for those of you that may feel like you're in the same boat as me. Like maybe you feel lost, maybe you can't make decisions for yourself, or maybe you just need somebody to push you over the edge and tell you, go live life. I guess the lesson for this video is more so looking for ways that you can pivot in your life. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't be so close-minded, because if you are, you're gonna be stuck doing the exact same thing you're doing now for the rest of your life. I mean, we're creatures of habit, so it's far too easy to find yourself falling into a rut like me, and one day you just wake up sad and miserable and you don't know what to do with anything. And maybe your big decision is different than mine. Maybe it's buying a new car or making new friends or getting a new job. Whatever it is, make sure you're doing it for you. I'm telling you, no matter what stage you are in life right now, your journey is not even close to being over. But yeah, maybe this is your sign to do exactly what I did and just pivot. Maybe don't move to Texas, especially if you're from California. They don't like that, but there's a lot of different possibilities out there. You don't have to do exactly what I did. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I love every single one of you. I will see you in next week's video.